Hey guys, welcome back to Tea Time, the podcast. And I'm so excited to be recording this episode because I have not recorded an episode since somewhere around November, December. And right now it's February 17th. And I had planned to do a whole ton of podcast recordings during the month of December while I was out traveling, etc., etc. But that didn't work out. However, more on that on a separate episode where we're gonna catch up and know where I've been, what I've been up to, and the latest, and get all caught up. But basically, if you are new here and this is your first time listening to Tea Time with Cassia Marina, basically, I am Cassia Marina, fondly known as the Branding Queen, and I have a podcast called Tea Time, the podcast that you're listening to right now. And essentially, tea is me keeping it real, keeping it honest about all things business, entrepreneurship, branding, and the online digital world. All right. So when I dish tea, it's coming from a place of caring, a place of honesty, and just not wanting people to continuously be misinformed and being led astray. So, today's podcast is about getting paid in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. Some of these things may work in other Caribbean islands, but the main focus is from a Trinidad perspective, Trinidad and Tobago. And if you are one of my listeners who are not from Trinidad and Tobago, this might not be the episode for you, but you can still listen. But this is mainly specifically geared towards Trinidad and Tobago. So I did an ebook called Get Paid: How to Get Paid Online in Trinidad and Tobago. And essentially, this ebook was inspired by the fact that ever since I had my Facebook group, which is now closed, which was like a year or 2 years ago, one of the hot topics was always, how do I get paid? How do I get paid? How do I get paid? Because naturally, I build websites and create online homes that are reflective of your brand. And naturally, we don't want static websites. We want websites that pay us. And if we have online businesses, we're running online businesses, we want to be able to get paid. That's the whole point of your website, right? To trade online, exchange your products and services in exchange for money, right? Just like any business. So anyway, one of the topics, it's always how to get paid, different ways to get paid, which bank is the best. And that will always be a hot topic because currency, money, getting paid is a fundamental part of running a business. So I decided to do this podcast to accompany the ebook. So while you're listening to the ebook, while you're reading the ebook, you could be listening along with me giving my complete breakdown on ways to get paid. Now, according to when you're listening to this podcast or reading this ebook, if it hasn't been updated, some things might be updated according to if it's 6 months down the road, even 3 months down the road, because the world of banking and the ways to get paid evolve all the time. And I try to keep update as much as possible. But even if I am update, this material may not necessarily always be update. But at the time of this recording, February 17th, and when I wrote the ebook 2 months ago, this is the information. So I highly encourage you to also do your own research on each one of these and see what is the latest. And if you feel like it, feel free to shoot me an email at cassia@brandingqueen.me or connect with me on Instagram at brandingqueen and Facebook to let me know if there are any new updates that I should know about. I would greatly appreciate it. So, the introduction. The popular question I get asked is, how do I set up my PayPal? How can I receive international payments? How can I run my business online and get paid without sending people to line up in the bank. Is this even possible? So most people who are very new to running an online business in Trinidad and Tobago, these are the questions that you can expect. And I'm here to say yes, yes, and yes, you can do all of those things. There is clearly a growing interest in working smarter through establishing an online brand, not just a business, but a brand and getting paid. Trust me, your girl got all the options, solutions, even the hacks to suit any type of business. Those who are familiar with me and my brand know that I am all about working smarter with automation and systems, and online business allows you to do just that. This is where the strategies come in. But for the purpose of this ebook, all we'll be focusing on is the payment solutions and options available to you here in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, so the overview of options are: there's PayPal, the most globally used option that most people know, whether you're from Trinidad or you're from Timbuktu, there's PayPal, right? So even if you're my non-Trinidadian audience, you should know about PayPal. In conjunction, you're going to need to, in order to use PayPal, either a US bank, a JMMB account, a Republic Bank VTM card, a Venture Credit Union Visa card, or B-Mobile's prepaid Visa card. I believe Republic Bank was discontinued over the past 2 months. I'm not quite sure. Again, some of this material may have to be updated, but you can check on that. The point is, though, many people think they need a credit card in Trinidad in order to partake in online commerce, like buy stuff abroad and locally. That is not the case. There are tons of debit cards. People, please get up to the times. There are a ton of prepaid options. So opening a JMMB account is one. Having any of the prepaid options from Venture, Republic, B-Mobile, and whatever else there might be around. Look around, check the websites. Most websites have this information. Most of these banks have this information online. Just go on their websites and look for cards and prepaid cards. They exist. All right. I would have mentioned FCB's MasterCard, but that's for a different purpose. And it works a little bit differently. The other option is Payoneer, there's WePay, and there's Paywise. So first, we're going to start with PayPal. PayPal is my most recommended option if you have a global business, especially if you plan, especially if you have a global business, you plan to have both local and international customers and clientele. This is the ultimate goal anyway, right? So you want to ensure that you have PayPal. And let me first say that no one solution is going to fulfill all their needs. Have multiple solutions for different people, right? And their needs. And you want to make it as easy as possible for people to buy from you. So recently I just had a client. I gave them all the multiple options. And usually I mention WePay if somebody asks about, do you have an online credit card option for local people? And for local people, I tend to shy away from PayPal for certain reasons. And I tend to use WePay because one, it's faster, two, it's local, and you would not be like exposing yourself to double the fees to get that money to you here. But if it's already US currency from a client that's residing abroad, then yes, you definitely want to explore PayPal, right? So I don't want to keep this too long. As a Caribbean country, a third world country, it's for international/global customers, it being PayPal. It's best to use what is internationally recognized. Trust is a big factor in conversions. So in order for people to buy from you, you must have heard, or if you haven't heard before, people need to know, like, and trust you, right? So if something is sketchy, you have to think about it from their perspective. If I'm in a first world country and PayPal is something that I'm used to using, you're going to want to use what people are comfortable with. You don't want to have to convince them that this is safe or have to do any extra legwork to make them feel comfortable to buy from you. So definitely have your PayPal set up. All right. If you're forwarding international clients a payment gateway that they've never used before, they may feel a little bit cautious. So the best thing to do is to eliminate as much resistance in the process as possible. Another reason to use PayPal is because it integrates so easily with so many platforms and services depending on your industry. It's a mainstream product, so it does make life easier. So that integration is great. The cons, though, the main con with PayPal in Trinidad, and I know some people don't experience this because they might have had a US bank account before and they have set up this PayPal while they were abroad, or they were studying and they have PayPal and they don't have to wait the 21 days or the 30 days that some people are exposed to. It really all depends, right? PayPal, I don't work at PayPal. PayPal tends to have no holes for even US citizens, and then one day they decide, hey, I want to put a 21-day hold on your account. It happens. The best thing to do to resolve that is to contact people and find out why can't I access my money sooner. But generally speaking, if you have a new PayPal account and you're from Trinidad and Tobago, the waiting day to access your funds, like the money is there in your account, you see it, but you cannot withdraw the funds and have access to it until 30 days has passed. But once you have a consistent stream of clients and customers, it's not so bad in my opinion, because by the time you get one payout, another one is coming in. So once you're using it often enough, you don't really feel the brunt or the effects of waiting 30 days. So there's that, right? So it's not so bad in my opinion. And I think the pros outweigh the cons, because if I'm getting access to a wider range of clientele through PayPal, something that people trust, then waiting 30 days isn't really that big of an issue. You can either not get paid or wait 30 days. So receiving your funds from PayPal, once you have access to your funds in PayPal, meaning the funds have cleared, you would want to withdraw this money from your PayPal account, which is an e-wallet, to your local bank account or prepaid card or credit card. Here are some options below. Well, if you're reading this, you'd see the options below. Transfer time varies, and I can only give you from my experience with each of them. These options were listed because PayPal only works with Visa cards to withdraw money to, not MasterCard. So that's why I didn't mention FCB's prepaid debit card, because it only acts as a card to shop online with, which is to buy, which is money going out of the card, but you cannot withdraw money into the card from your PayPal e-wallet. So I hope I didn't confuse you there. So your first option is the JMMB Personal Savings Bank Account. The transfer time, as listed on this site, is actually, no, not listed on this site, but in my experience, I have found that I have been able to see the funds appear in my account in as little as the next day or 2 days. So let's say I get a payment from PayPal and the 30 days has passed and I have access to my funds. Once I click that withdraw button, I have found that the funds are in my JMMB account the next day or 2 days, even though PayPal on their websites tell you 5 to 7 business days. So don't let that alarm you. It can be there sooner. I honestly believe this is because JMMB's option is a regular bank account and not a prepaid credit card option. But that's just my hunch. I don't really know. But I am impressed that I can withdraw funds from PayPal and it's there in my local bank account in like the next day. So imagine if there wasn't that 30-day hold, you are looking like almost next day to 2 days access, right? Things to note. This is a great option for receiving, but not so much for spending, as a spending limit on a JMMB card for international purposes are 3,500 TT dollars per month. Now, when you do the math and you convert that to US and you're running more of like a um, your product is a physical product and you need to stock inventory, I know that is not going to be enough for the average product-based business person, right? But these are options to have for receiving money for those who sell their products or services outside of Trinidad and Tobago. The next option is the Republic Bank's VTM card. Again, I think I remember seeing that this card was discontinued or that it was being phased out. But basically, it acts very similarly to JMMB. But why I really attest to JMMB is because it's an actual physical bank account than a prepaid card, right? Which isn't exactly a bank account per se, but it's just a prepaid card. I can't really explain any better than that, but it's not an account. The next one is Venture Credit Union's Visa debit card. This card is essentially facilitated through JMMB Bank, but if you have a Venture Credit Union account, it might be convenient for you to just get a Visa debit card through Venture than having to go to JMMB if you have no accounts with them. All right? It's really up to you and your personal preference. But the point is, and the whole point of this ebook and this podcast is that there are tons of options. One of the things that kind of drive me a little bit crazy is social media and the spread of misinformation through my fellow Trini people. And not just misinformation, but the fact that the amount of complaining that they can't do this and they can't do that, and complain, point out problems, and there are no solutions. And that's what really motivated me as well to put this together, because for me, I'm always researching. Like if I find a roadblock, for example, let's say the Republic Bank VTM card is phased out or they're making it extremely hard to use it, then I'll be like, okay, let me find a solution. What other options are there? There must be some other option that I can utilize out there that the average person may not know or may not be talking about, or they may not be properly promoting it, advertising it, whatever. There must be something else out there. I personally am always looking for the quote-unquote hacks, right? One thing I skipped over with the Republic Bank VTM card, upon research from a colleague, I would say, is that he pointed out to me is that it's a great option for those who want to order inventory. Because it doesn't have, the Republic Bank card doesn't have the limitation on spending as the JMMB's card. So the spending limit is 5,000 US per month, whereas the JMMB's spending limit is 3,500 TT dollars, right? So let me just divide that by 6 really quick. So that's essentially a little over 500 US. So 500 US versus 5,000 US. If you are running a successfully done online business, you're exporting your product, you're getting paid in US, and you're withdrawing that money onto your Republic Bank's Visa card, you can now recycle that money to use it now to spend, and you don't have to face the bank and be frustrated that I'm not getting US dollars today, and oh my gosh, the government this and the government that, right? Let us find the solutions. So if that card is not phased out, or they haven't done anything or changed the terms and conditions, that is one of the options. All right. I am going to update the ebook, but so check with the ebook and see if there have been any updates to it at the time of this audio recording. The other option is venture. As I said, it is facilitated through JMMB's bank, so the limits, the processing times are more or less about the same. Then I'm not sure if I'm mixing it up, but it's either the B Mobile prepaid Visa card got phased out or it was Republic Bank's ATM card. So you can check that out. At the end of the ebook, I have a resource with links that you can go to these websites and find out what's up. It's always great to go to this source. And that's another thing. People are always going in Facebook groups to get information. Facebook groups are not a reliable source of information because it is a place where you are just getting answers from, let's say you were to ask a friend or you call someone. It's all opinionated advice. This is not reliable sources of information. It's great to ask how people use things, etc., etc. But if you want to get the facts on something, we have the internet, we have Google. Go directly to the source. So all of this information in this ebook, I would also advise you go directly to the source. Please, people, do not go in groups and ask what are the requirements for X, Y, and Z, because these things change. Go straight to the source, and if you can't get the information from one of their platforms, contact them. Cool? Good. All right. So the second option I want to explore with you all is Payoneer. Payoneer allows you to receive money similarly to PayPal. You can learn all about its features on their website, but in a nutshell, they provide you with their own Payoneer MasterCard. When a client pays you, it sits in their e-wallet and you have access to your funds to their card. So it's sitting there in this digital e-wallet, and you access that e-wallet, aka account, and essentially Payoneer gives you a virtual US bank account. And the Payoneer card allows you to shop online, withdraw funds at an ATM locally. You can go do your groceries and swipe, and it's all good. So you get your payments, you sell something, your services, etc., that you get paid, and the processing times aren't very long. All right, so you can explore that option. If you're someone who sells on Amazon, you sell on Fiverr, any of these freelancing websites, it integrates with that as well. So when people pay you, you can access your funds with ease, right? My only hang up with Payoneer, which I would consider the con, is it lacks the aspect of automation. And like I said earlier, I am all about working smarter through systems, automation. I always say automation nation over here, right? The aspect of being able to create buttons. So with PayPal, you can create buttons and embed it on your website so that you can make money even while you sleep. However, with Payoneer, you still have to liaise and converse with the customer. You still have to stop and invoice them. So I don't really recommend Payoneer for people who have like an e-commerce business, because you have to stop, take their order manually, invoice them manually through the Payoneer platform in order to receive your funds. Now, it's great to have. It doesn't hurt to have these things. It's an additional option. If you're a service-based business, it's not really an issue, because in any case, you have to stop and invoice people anyway, right? In your onboarding process. If you're a business that relies solely on invoicing, then Payoneer is not an issue. But if you want to set up products and services on your site where people can just click and check out, Payoneer may not be the best solution, because then people have to stop and message you, tell you what their order is, you tally up the total, invoice them, send them a P&A invoice, they pay, etc., etc. So it requires you still to do some of the legwork, right? The next option is WePay. Now I know WePay is for those of you who are aware of WePay, it's a little bit of a controversial option. Not so much controversial, but because of the bad rap that they have gotten for delays in payments. So before I get to that, I'm going to give you my overview of WePay. WePay is what I like to refer to as a local version of PayPal in a nutshell. It's made by us, for the Caribbean, right? It has very similar features but works in its own way to adapt to our culture and our way of doing things. So the system of things abroad is very different to Trinidad, right? Our local banking system does not really integrate with PayPal the way that it would with other accounts abroad. Similarly, with same thing with WePay. So the culture of shopping online is still evolving for the grassroots person. So they still love cash payments. So if you're familiar with Paywise, WePay has the combined capability of cash payments and credit card payments in their platform, and it also gives you an e-wallet. That is something that Paywise doesn't particularly have. They don't have that online e-wallet, and it's a feature that I do like for the customer, right? They can top up there just like you have your prepaid account, like if you have a mobile phone. Just the way you would top up your mobile phone with credit, you can top up your WePay account with credit and shop from your favorite local e-commerce businesses. If you have a credit card, you can just use your credit card and pay for stuff without having to top up, right? And it makes it easy for local online businesses to accept credit card payments without the excruciating amount of capital and overhead and red tape requirements that the banks require of you. So WePay acts as a PayPal. Same way you can go on PayPal and just open up an account and it's done. You go to wepaytoday.com or wepayfinancial.com, create your account and get things going. All right. So it has very similar features, but works in its own way to adapt to our culture and way of doing things. It works well as a manual option and also as a shopping cart option. Now, when I say manual, I mean manual as in you, just like P&A, you would stop an invoice and send your clients an invoice. And then you also have the shopping cart option that works with WordPress with their plugin called WeCommerce, right? WePay allows you to accept credit card transactions even without a website, as well as cash transactions because of that WeCommerce, not WeCommerce, but because of that e-wallet capability, right? So you don't even have to have a website, though you should. Cons, the main issue at the time of when I wrote this ebook, is that their terrible customer service. So that's where they got their bad rap from, and they're currently learning and recovering from it, right? If you have an issue and their main issue, their terrible customer service, the main issue is that they are delivering on their promise to deliver funds within a week. So yeah, people have been waiting for up to 14 days to receive their funds, and then when people try to get any rectification, it's very slow on coming. And then eventually, when you're dealing with money and you're dealing with people's money, you just can't afford to have these issues, right? But since then, things have gotten a lot better and it has improved, but that is there. And they are doing better. So that is we pay for you. So I don't want to scare anybody on the cons, but that was the hurdle that many had to experience at that point in time. And I'm going to leave the con there mainly because I don't want to take it off right away. I need to experience for myself that you're not waiting that long, but that was the issue at the time of writing this ebook. All right, but WePay is trying to do better. So I would say still go check them out, sign up, and I don't want to say proceed at your own risk, but it is a good option. And I really do love what they are about and what they're trying to do in the Caribbean. And I mean, like with anything, there would be kinks, there would be things to work out. It's something that is here to solve a problem for us here in Trinidad and the wider Caribbean. And from insider information that I would have been privy to, is that it was a fine line to walk between balancing doing certain things and having the proper legislation. And that was one of the reasons why there would be delays in people receiving their funds. I can't go into it into too many details, but for now, I am seeing that they have worked past that or they are working past it, because I'm not seeing as many complaints, and I've been hearing things go from waiting over 5 days for payment and people getting it in as little as less than 5 days. So I'll say this, check out WePay. Up next is Paywise. So now Paywise is that option that is similar to WePay, but it doesn't have the e-wallet. It doesn't allow you to accept credit card transactions, but it does allow you to accept payment virtually, right? So our culture still loves cash. And one of the things that we are used to doing for years and years and years, ever since I was growing up in Trinidad, is you would watch, what's this thing on TTT, Dateline. You'd watch on Dateline, for those who remember those days. And if somebody needs donations or they need to get paid, the way to get paid is go deposit to this bank account. And to this day, we still practice this, go line up in the bank in order to pay me. So Paywise is similar to that, where you still have to leave your house to make the payment, but it's a lot more convenient. So the limitations with going to line up in the bank is, one, the lines, two, limiting banking hours. So, the banks in Trinidad and Tobago close by 2 p.m., 3 p.m. at latest, and only up to 5 p.m. on a Friday after they've closed and opened back and all of that tralala. And sometimes going to the bank to pay for something is pretty much a hassle. Not to mention the limited branches that some banks may have. Paywise now have 900 locations through NLCB booths. You can go to the nearest shop, which might be right out the road, as we say here in the Caribbean, right out the road. It's easy that I can shop from my favorite local e-commerce site, whether it's a Facebook store or website. Let them tell me what the payment is and the Paywise account number. And I might just have to walk out the road and make that payment, right? So it's a lot more convenient because of close proximity, more options of places, locations to go and make your payment with cash. Not so limited hours to access the NLCB booth, because some NLCB booths open as early as 6, as early as 7 a.m. and as late as 8 p.m. at night. So you could be shopping all 6 o'clock in the evening and still make your payments. And the great thing about Paywise is that for quite a while now, you receive your payments as the business owner. You receive payments really quickly. Customer service is, I would say, it's flawless. Like, I have never heard anybody have a complaint with Paywise. I have never had a complaint with Paywise myself. It is really an option that really works in Trinidad and really seems to get our culture. But again, for me, who's very digital, who's very online, I don't want to have to leave my house if I'm shopping online. That's the whole point. But it fulfills a need and it does appeal to the grassroots citizen of a country who prefers cash and feels more comfortable with cash, right? So those are the options in a nutshell. I hope I didn't confuse you in any way. I hope that it's clear. And if you have any questions or you enjoyed this, please share the ebook with someone, share this podcast with someone, and let them know that there are many options out there to getting paid online in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's not as limited as we seem to like to make it be, right? If you want to know what's the best solution for your business, we can set up a consultation call so I can work through what is your business model, and what I can recommend is the best option for you, or not just the best option, but the best options, because we should have multiple options in order for people to pay us, so that you can work out your unique payment and online strategy for your business. So in order to do that, all you have to do is shoot me an email at cassia@brandingqueen.me, or you can just go on over to cassiamarina.as.me to schedule a consultation call. All right, so I would love to get your feedback on this. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, respond to wherever you would have gotten this from. Let me know what your questions are so I can probably do a follow-up Q&A about this ebook. All right, so that's it for today, and I will catch you on the next episode of Tea Time, the podcast.